Heartwarming journey, discovering the incredible stories behind 1 million lives changed forever. In the small town of Maplewood, resilience weaved through its very fabric, vibrant and undeniable. Only in this cozy little corner of the Midwest could one single mother shine so brightly, illuminating the lives of her 2 children with every ounce of love she held. Jenna, in her mid-30s, juggled 2 grueling jobs. Her days spent serving comfort food at the local diner, and her nights scrubbing office buildings until the clock struck midnight. Yet, no matter the exhaustion clawing at her, Jenna never stopped pushing forward. Breakfast around their kitchen table was sacred, a morning ritual where laughter and hope danced between bites of toast and sips of orange juice. One blustery autumn afternoon, while sorting through old papers, Jenna found a flyer that set her heart racing. 1 million lives. It spoke of a community initiative to share stories of struggle and triumph, tales that embodied the resilient American spirit. Inspiration washed over her like a warm embrace. Her fingers itched to write, to explain her journey, to reveal the depths of her heart and her yearning for a better future. Could her story truly matter? She hesitated for a moment, doubts creeping in. But then, she took a deep breath and began to fill the pages with the scrap of her life. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It wasn't too long before her entry was submitted, but Jenna had no idea of the emotional whirlwind that awaited her. At the community event unveiling the project, a figure yanked her back through time. Her estranged father, a decorated veteran with a troubled past, entered the room. The joy that was supposed to fill the air faded, replaced by weighty memories that warred with the present. She felt her heart racing, conflicted emotions twisted within her, layers of joy and pain colliding. Determined to mend the rift, Jenna organized a gathering to foster healing not just for her and her father, but for the entire community, a family built through shared struggles. Neighbors came together, a patchwork of faces that had weathered their own storms. And yet, as stories surfaced, the air turned thick with tension, past grievances boiling over. Hearts shouted in frustration, causing divides in a crowd that once felt whole. In that moment of chaos, Jenna stood tall, her voice emerging from deep within. She spoke for her father, acknowledging their fractured humanity amidst the storm. Suddenly, shackles broke, a burst of closeness forged between neighbors as they began sharing their tales of dreams and hardships, cascading truths that unveiled unlikely connections hiding beneath the surface. Just when the air felt electric with possibility, a shroud of silence fell as her father prepared to speak. Jenna's throat tightened. There it was again, the choice to face a past full of pain or to hold onto the resentment that had long kept her safe. Her son, tugging gently at her sleeve, whispered questions that echoed in her heart about belonging and justice. Would she dare embrace the connection she once thought lost forever? The room held its breath, hanging on the brink of resolution, a community united yet divided. What would it take to heal the rift that spanned generations? As her father's voice trembled, Jenna felt the weight of decisions loom. Would she step forward, or would darkness remain? The room felt charged, heavy with memories and unspoken words. Jenna's gaze lanced through the crowd, landing on her father. His lined face told stories of its own hardships experienced, battles fought in silence. He looked older, frilier, yet there was an air of resolve about him that stirred an undying instinct within her. Jenna, he began, his voice cracking like fragile glass. Everyone leaned in, captivated, as the past loomed over them all. I know I haven't been the father you needed. Her heart raced. Did she want to hear this? Memories of disappointment clenched around her like thorny vines. But beneath it all, there was curiosity, a tiny spark igniting hope. And there's no excuse for the pain I've caused. I want to explain. As he spoke, A glance from her son interrupted her thoughts. His eyes mirrored Jenna's memories and innocent hunger for connection. She could see the hope he held, a simple desire to understand who this man was. Did she dare let it unfold? With every word her father spoke, Jenna felt the floodgates of emotions unmooring. He talked about his service, the turmoil that came with it, the choices he made that shattered their family. Tears pricked at her eyes as stories of his struggle surged forth, revealing a man trapped in his own wounds, just trying to survive the aftermath. Yet, with each story, the rift she felt began to slightly mend. Memories of laughter, help at home, and even the warmth of a father's embrace broke through her barriers, transforming the chaos around them into something tentative yet beautiful. The room hummed with understanding, each neighbor leaning closer to hear, to empathize. It wasn't just her father's story, but a collective confession of regret, pain, and the deep yearning for forgiveness. Voices rose and fell, the air thick with newfound connections. A neighbor recounted losses from the past. Another shared hopes that had dimmed under the weight of life. The events of years gone by felt less individual and more shared. Jenna felt her heart swell with an unexpected warmth, realizing they weren't so different after all. They were all learning how to carry their past without letting it define them. And when her father finished speaking, the silence wasn't one of tense anticipation anymore, but rather a silence filled with possibility. Then, she stepped forward, heart hammering like a drum against her ribs. "I can't pretend it didn't hurt," she said, her voice barely above a whisper but ringing clear in the quiet room. "But I also can't ignore how much I long for understanding." The eyes in the room widened, tears darted down cheeks, and a hand reached out to her. It was time to bridge the gaps. Jenna's courage felt like a soft light seeping into the cracks, revealing paths not previously visible. "Would you come home with me?" she asked her father tentatively. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Could this be? Was she really offering a second chance? As he nodded, the crowd erupted in applause, cheers of encouragement washing over them like rain after a drought. Hope exploded between them. Deep down, Jenna felt something shift, a loosening of chains that had held them captive for too long. But as she glanced at her son, her heart thrummed with something else too. What if this journey didn't just reconnect her to her father? What if they embarked on a new chapter together, discovering family bonds anew? She could feel change lace through her veins. Yet beneath the warmth of renewed connection, a part of her hesitated. What steps lay ahead? Would past pain seep back in? Or could they truly forge ahead? The room buzzed with excitement, but Jenna's gut twisted with questions. As her father reached out, she took a deep breath, ready for whatever might come next. The story wasn't over. In fact, it was only just beginning. What awaited them on this journey of reconnection, healing, and unexpected twists? As they left the noise of the crowd behind, Jenna felt the air shift. It was quieter now, the bustle replaced by the soft thrum of her own thoughts. Her father walked beside her, his face a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. She could feel her son's small hand clasped tightly in hers, his little fingers warm and reassuring. "What now?" her father asked, breaking the silence. The question hung in the air, heavy and loaded. Jenna didn't have all the answers, but she could sense the possibilities swirling around them like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. "We take it one step at a time," she replied, glancing at her son. His eyes sparkled with hope, an unclaimed dream waiting to grow. I think we have a lot to talk about. Maybe start by just being together." The drive home felt surreal. Jenna kept glancing in the rearview mirror, catching glimpses of her father and son sharing tentative smiles. The weight of the world felt lighter, but at the same time, it was also filled with the heavy anticipation of what lay ahead. The memories of laughter mingled with the specter of old wounds. She clenched the steering wheel tighter, her heart racing, filled with trepidation and hope alike. Once they arrived, her father lingered at the entrance, looking around as if seeing a home that was once his but now felt foreign. Jenna's heart twisted a little at the sight of him standing there, a lost relic of her past, searching for a place to belong. "Come on in," she urged, her voice steadier than she felt. She opened the door wider, inviting him into their lives. The inside of the house felt warm and lived in, filled with the scents of her favorite candles and the remnants of their evening meals. Jenna took a deep breath, filling her lungs with normalcy, all while clinging to the flicker of fear. Would it feel like a home for him too? Would the familiar shadows of the past rise and seep through the cracks? They settled into the living room. It was cozy with a soft couch and well-loved cushions. Her son plopped down, reaching for his toys. Jenna felt like a referee in a game she didn't fully understand. "Do you want something to drink?" she asked him. Her father nodded, his eyes scanning the room. "A glass of water would be great, thanks." His voice was softer now, gentler, as if he was afraid to disturb something precious. As she poured, she felt the weight of so much unsaid. She wanted to ask him about his service, the moments he wasn't there for her. She wanted to know how he changed, how he had fought to be here now. But the words sat heavily, lodged in her throat. "Jenna." Her father's hesitant voice broke through her thoughts. "I know I don't deserve your trust, but I want to earn it. I don't want to repeat the past." Her stomach twisted. "Talk to me. Share your story." Just saying it made the room feel like it could crack wide open with all that unspooled pain and regret. For the first time, she saw something raw in his eyes, vulnerability wrapped in longing. "I've learned so much since then. I hope it's not too late," he admitted, looking directly into her gaze. As Jenna prepared to listen, she felt that tiny spark of hope flickering into flame. Could this actually work? Could they mend what was broken? But deep down, unease lingered. What is the true cost of healing? Would it come with layers of hurt she had yet to uncover? The moment trembled in the air, waiting for a leap forward, and Jenna could feel her heart racing for what lay ahead. What stories would come unraveled? Would they finish stitching together this complicated tapestry of family, or stumble over hidden threads that still tugged painfully at their hearts? As Jenna settled onto the couch beside her father, the room seemed to hold its breath, a fragile pause before the next chapter unfolded. Jenna took a deep breath, trying to steady herself as she faced her father. The water in her hand trembled slightly, almost echoing the uncertainty swirling within her. This was the moment she had both wanted and feared. "Why don't you start at the beginning?" Jenna suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. The heaviness of the request hung between them, but she felt it was the only way forward. Her father nodded, swallowing hard. "I didn't know the man I was when I left." He paused, the memories weighing visibly upon him. "I thought I was fighting for something noble. But when I got back home," he looked around the room, taking in the playful chaos of toys scattered about, the warmth of family photographs lining the walls. Everything had changed. Most of all, me. Jenna's heart beat faster. She wanted to reach out, to comfort him, but instead, she sat still, watching him unravel. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees, his gaze locked onto the floor. "I thought war would make me a hero. Instead, it showed me my weaknesses. I was lost in my own head, drowning in guilt for the things I'd seen, the things I had to do." She noticed a tear escape down his cheek. It surprised her. She hadn't expected to see him so vulnerable. "I lost myself, Jenna. I didn't know how to come back." He wiped his eyes, his voice thickening. "I hurt the people I loved, especially you." Those words struck her like a blow. She had spent so long guarding her heart, trying to make sense of the anger and abandonment she felt. The words bubbled up before she could contain them. "But you were gone." She couldn't finish her thought, emotions tumbling over each other like a messy child's drawing. "I didn't know how to forgive you." "I know. I don't expect you to," he replied, his sincerity almost palpable. "I want to be better, for both you and your son. For all the missed birthdays, all those Christmases where I wasn't there. I wanted to build something solid, something real. Even if it means starting with nothing." A silence fell again, heavy but laced with a hint of understanding. Jenna thought about her son, the innocence in his eyes when he looked at her, trusting and open. Could she really show him what forgiveness might look like? Could she let her father back in, risking the wounds reopening? I want to try, she said finally, her voice faltering. But it's so hard. I'll share everything. No more hiding, he promised, leaning closer. Let me show you the man I am now, not the one who left. I need you to see I've changed. The man who returned is trying to be better. I need to reclaim the bond we lost. Her chest tightened, the warmth of hope battling against the chill of doubt. She could feel her son's soft hand reaching up, grasping her knee, a mute reminder of innocence and possibility. Before she could respond, the doorbell chimed, startling them. The moment shattered, and Jenna's heart raced with renewed anxiety. Who could that be? She shared a glance with her dad, both unsure whether the interruption was a welcome distraction or an unwanted intrusion. Should we? He started, but his words faded as an unexpected wave of anticipation rolled over Jenna. I guess we have to find out, she replied, rising with the uncertainty hanging above them. She approached the door, her heart pounding. What would await them outside? Could it be a new ally in their journey of healing? Or perhaps a challenging twist? As Jenna turned the doorknob, she felt the weight of every decision pressing against her. This could redefine everything. And as the door swung open, she braced herself for whatever awaited. The door creaked as it swung open. Jenna sucked in a breath, her heart thudding against her chest as she faced the unexpected. Standing on the other side was a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a familiar face, though it took a moment for Jenna's mind to piece together the connection. Aunt Melanie? She blurted out, disbelief coloring her voice. Melanie stepped forward, her expression a mix of relief and concern. Oh, Jenna, I didn't know you were back in town. Jenna's father stood up slowly, eyes widening in recognition. Melanie, what are you doing here? The two hadn't seen each other in years, a shared family history tangled in the silence that followed his question. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by. I wanted to see how you both were, she said, her gaze sweeping over the room. It settled on Jenna's father, and her tone softened. I heard about everything, Michael. We need to talk. Jenna glanced at her father, her own heart racing. This wasn't just an unexpected visit. It felt significant somehow. Melanie had always been the family anchor, a source of wisdom and support. But did she really know the depth of what had happened? Can we step inside? Melanie asked, her eyes darting between them, sensing the tension. Jenna stepped aside, making room for her aunt. Once inside, the air felt thicker, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Jenna could feel the shifts in moods, the heavy past waiting to be unpacked. She took her seat again, her hands still shaking slightly. A remnant of the moment with her father now interrupted. Melanie sat down cautiously, her expression serious. Honey, I'm sorry for showing up like this, but I heard that your father is back, and I wanted to make sure you two are all right. You heard? Her father interrupted, surprised. From who? How do you even know? The old family friends. It's a small town. She paused as if gathering her thoughts. Honestly, Michael, what you went through, it's not something you can just brush off. I don't want to pry, but I felt it was time for a family talk. A silence stretched between them, and Jenna's mind raced. Was this family talk what she needed? Her father had finally begun to share, yet a fresh wave of questions crashed over her. Did she really want to dive into what could be a sea of emotions? Do you want to hear about it? Her father asked, looking weary but resolute. I'd love to unload. There is so much baggage I'm carrying. Dad. Jenna felt shaky but brave, wanting to protect him, even now. Is this the right moment? Do we want to open old wounds? Melanie interjected gently. Sometimes those old wounds need light to heal. We may find answers or at least some understanding. As the words sunk in, Jenna recognized the flicker of hope blooming inside her. Opening up might lead to healing, not just for her father, but for her too. Trying to find strength, Jenna nodded, though doubt still flickered in her eyes. Okay, let us talk. The tension shifted slightly. The atmosphere felt charged, like a thunderstorm hovering just above them. As the three of them began to engage, words flew like lightning, explaining, reflecting, sharing. Memories scattered around the room, fragments of laughter and tears exchanging spaces. But just when Jenna thought they were making progress, A loud crash echoed from the kitchen, making them jump. Her heart sank. What now? The chaos of the moment threatened to drag them back down into uncertainty again, reminding her of how fragile this hope was. Please tell me that wasn't my son, Jenna muttered, dread knotting her stomach as she rushed toward the noise in the back of her mind. Questions whirled. Could they navigate this storm together, even with seemingly unending hurdles? She didn't know. But one thing was clear. They had cracked open a door to possibilities, and there was no turning back now. As she reached the kitchen, another crash sent her heart racing. What awaited her this time? Jenna dashed into the kitchen, her heart pounding loudly in her ears. She feared the worst, imagining the mess her 5-year-old son, Aiden, might have created. The kitchen was a familiar chaos of scattered toys and overstuffed cabinets, but now it felt like every shadow threatened to swallow her whole. Aiden? She called out, her voice trembling slightly. What happened? At first, there was silence, and Jenna's gut twisted with worry. She noticed a chair tipped over, and in the corner of the room, her son's small frame was hidden behind the refrigerator. All she saw was his tousled hair sticking out. Aiden? She approached slowly, dread lodged in her throat. Are you all right? I am okay, Mom, he called back, his voice a mixture of fear and pride. With a deep breath, she knelt down to peer around the fridge. There he was, holding a broken glass, the remnants of juice pooling at his feet. Oh no, sweetie, what did you do? He looked up at her, wide-eyed. I wanted to make it like you do, but I couldn't. He reached the cabinet. His tiny voice trembled, and Jenna's heart melted despite the mess. Jenna fought a rush of emotions: relief that he was unharmed, frustration at the spill, and a deep, all-consuming love. Aiden, you need to be more careful. You could have hurt yourself. But I wanted to help, he said, his lip quivering, and Jenna felt the sting of tears prick at her eyes. She smiled softly, understanding his intentions. I know, sweetheart. I love that you want to help. But let me show you how, okay? As she cleaned up the glass, her heart ached for all the times she had left Aiden to fend for himself while she wrestled with adult fears. In that moment, she realized that he was also a part of the memories she would share with her father and Aunt Melanie. Can you help me? Aiden asked, pointing to a sponge on the counter. Of course, she replied, handing it to him. They worked together, cleaning the spill, his small fingers clumsily navigating the fibers of the sponge. Though it was a simple act, it filled her with the warmth of a bond she cherished. Meanwhile, the memory of her father's pained face and the looming discussion with Aunt Melanie tugged at the edges of her mind. Could she really open that door wider? Would Aiden's innocence help bridge the gaps they had left unspoken? Perhaps even heal some of the old wounds? Eventually, they cleared away the last fragments of glass and wiped the floor dry. All done. Aiden cheered, his excitement infectious. Jenna felt a swell of pride, and amid her own uncertainty, she realized his smiles were her lifeline. With her heart still racing now from a blend of fear and joy, she ushered them both back to the living room. Melanie and her father were still sitting there, the mood still thick but less charged, as if they awaited the results of some silent verdict. Jenna felt a sudden rush of courage. I'm so sorry about that. Aiden was trying to help in the kitchen a little too much, I think. Kids can be a handful, Melanie said, smiling warmly at Aiden. But they also remind us of what really matters. Jenna felt a shift in her heart, her earlier doubts succumbing to the overwhelming love she felt for both her son and her father. Were they truly ready to explore the depths of shared pain? To shine light on wounds that had never healed? Her father met her gaze with a deep, knowing look, as if sensing the pivotal moment she was feeling unfold. And with Aiden's innocent laughter echoing around them, Jenna knew they were standing at the edge of something profound. Should we try to continue? Melanie suggested gently, as though sensing the shift in the air. Jenna nodded, determination seeping into her resolve. Yes, she said softly, let us talk. The words opened a door, the anticipation thick in the air as they navigated the depths of their past. But just as they began, the front door creaked suddenly. Someone had entered the house without knocking. Jenna's heart skipped a beat. Who else could it be now? Jenna's stomach tightened as she turned toward the front door, dread settling deep in her chest. The sound of footsteps reverberated through the hallway, and the world outside felt distant and unreal. She exchanged a glance with Melanie, who raised an eyebrow in curiosity, while her father remained still, his expression transforming into one of cautious anticipation. The door swung open, and in walked Jake, Jenna's brother. He looked as though he had run a marathon, sweat glistening on his forehead, and a look of disbelief on his face. "What's going on?" he asked, catching his breath. "Aiden had a little mishap," Jenna said, her voice steady in front of her brother, despite the whirlwind of feelings inside. "We were just about to talk." "Oh, that sounds important," he replied, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. He seemed to take stock of the room, pausing as his eyes landed on their father. It felt like a pause that lingered, a moment where life threaded back together before being pulled apart again. Aiden, unaware of the heaviness in the atmosphere, bounded over to his uncle with his trademark enthusiasm. "I helped Mommy clean the mess," he chirped, his bright innocence lighting up the dim corners of the room. "Wow, buddy, that's awesome." Jake bent down, ruffling Aiden's hair and smiling, but Jenna could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Jake had always had a complicated relationship with their father, and bringing that tension back to the surface was the last thing Jenna wanted. "Aiden, why don't you go play in your room for a bit?" Jenna suggested, tapping into her protective instincts. The last thing she needed was for the weight of adult conversations to fall on her son's small shoulders. "Okay," Aiden replied, skipping away, the energy in the room punctuating the awkward tension left behind. Jenna watched him leave, a gnawing sense of guilt creeping back in. "Jenna," Jake said, breaking the silence, "what's really going on here?" "I got a call from Melanie." She sounded worried. Melanie cleared her throat, her expression serious. "We were just discussing some family matters, Jake. Things we've needed to face for a while now." "What kind of matters?" He shifted his weight, glancing between the three of them as if gauging how deep the rabbit hole actually went. "Things their father started but then faltered." The words hung in the air. It was as if he was wrestling with a huge weight. Jake crossed his arms, uncrossed them, and finally settled on resting his hands in his pockets. "Look, if something's wrong, we can handle it together. We're family, right?" "Right," Jenna replied softly, her voice almost a whisper. She felt a rush of gratitude for Jake's willingness to engage, but also a surge of dread at facing their shared wounds. Taking a deep breath, Jenna stepped forward. "Dad, I think it's time we bring up what happened with Mom, and how it affects all of us." An awkward silence fell again. Jake looked at their father, his blue eyes wide, as if an unspoken question hung in the air. Would they finally say the things they had left unsaid for so long? "I've never wanted to bring it up," her father said finally, his voice shaky. "I was afraid of how it might tear us apart." "Not talking about it is tearing us apart," Jake shot back, the raw honesty igniting the air between them. Jenna's heart raced, anticipation coursing through her veins. This could be the moment of change they all needed. But just as the energy in the room shifted, the doorbell rang again, slicing through the tension like a knife. Jenna's skin prickled, her heart pounding. Who else was coming into this conversation? She looked at her brother, who stared back wide-eyed. Should we answer it? With her breath caught in her throat, Jenna nodded, a mix of hope and dread bubbling in her chest. Little did she know that the person standing outside would change everything. Jenna hesitated for a moment, inching toward the door. Her heart raced, spurred by both anticipation and anxiety. She opened it slowly, the hinges creaking as if echoing her internal turmoil. The figure standing at the threshold took her breath away. Maggie, her childhood friend, stood there, eyes wide with concern. Jenna's breath caught in her throat. Maggie had been a staple in their lives for years, but they hadn't seen each other since the fallout. The moment felt surreal, like a scene from a movie where the past collides with the present to change the future. "Hey, Jenna," Maggie managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was in the area and thought." Maybe her eyes flicked to Jake and then to their father, taking in the electricity in the air. Jenna stood frozen, emotions swirling. Part of her wanted to slam the door shut, to shelter this moment from the past and its weighty memories. But she couldn't do that. Not with Maggie there, someone who might understand the layers of hurt and history they were all trying to navigate. "Come in," Jenna said softly, stepping aside, feeling the space between them crackling with unspoken words. Maggie stepped over the threshold, and in that brief moment, it felt as if the tension in the room scaled back a notch. The familiar warmth of Maggie's presence acted like a balm. "What's going on?" she asked, glancing from Jenna to Jake, her gaze landing on their father. "We were just about to have an important conversation," Jake replied, maintaining a careful tone. He glanced at Jenna, his silent plea for her to share what was weighing so heavily on their shoulders. Maggie nodded slowly, as if sensing the urgency. "I'm here for you," she said, her voice steady and reassuring. Jenna felt gratitude wash over her. Maybe Maggie would help bridge the gap created not just by their mother's absence, but by years of misunderstandings and silence. "We need to talk about Mom, about what happened," Jenna finally confessed, her heart pounding at the admission. The words hung in the air again, heavy and burdensome. Maggie's expression shifted, understanding dawning in her eyes. She glanced at their father, who stood rigid, and for a split second, Jenna thought she saw a flicker of fear pass across his face. "Listen," Maggie began, taking a seat at the edge of the couch. "It's okay. You don't have to do this alone." Jenna felt her chest tighten as she looked around the room at the faces of the people she loved. This was no longer just about her. It extended to the legacy of silence and pain that had clouded their family for too long. "I think we need to face this together," Jenna said, feeling a surge of courage. "Mom's memories don't have to tear us apart. They can help bring us closer." Jake shifted, looking at their father, his eyes challenging yet compassionate. "SNT at time we shared our stories about her instead of hiding from them?" Their father, finally meeting Jenna's gaze, seemed to melt under the weight of her encouragement and their family's history. "I've carried this burden for so long," he admitted softly. "Maybe it's time to let it go." Just then, Aiden bounded back into the room, his laughter ringing bright enough to shatter the tension. He stopped short, sensing the heaviness, the change in atmosphere. "What's wrong?" he asked, eyes darting from face to face. Jenna knelt beside her son, heart racing. She didn't want him to sense the gravity of the moment, but at the same time he deserved truth. "Nothing's wrong, buddy. Just grown-up stuff. Can I help?" Aiden asked earnestly, his innocence igniting a spark of hope. Their father glanced at Aiden, a soft smile breaking through his uncertainty. "Maybe you can, Aiden. Maybe you can." As the chapters of their past hovered just within reach, Jenna felt the tide begin to shift. There was hope swirling in the air. Could they all finally begin to heal? But before they could delve deeper, there was a knock on the door again. Jenna's heart sank. Who could that be? She wondered, a chill pricking at her skin as she exchanged nervous glances with her brother and father. Fate was writing their story, and Jenna's pulse quickened. What if this next visitor held answers they weren't ready for? Jenna's heart thundered in her chest, the knock reverberating through her like an echo of doubt. She hesitated, caught between the warmth of reunion and the looming shadow of whatever or whoever was waiting beyond the door. The air felt electric, charged with so many unresolved feelings. Maggie shifted beside her, a concerned expression clouding her features. "Do you want me to answer?" she offered, already getting up as if moved by an unspoken instinct. "It's probably just the neighbors," Jenna said, though even she didn't believe it. The last thing she wanted was another distraction, another reminder of everything left unsaid. But Maggie stepped forward, resolving the moment with a quiet determination. She opened the door wide, revealing a figure that took Jenna by surprise. Anthony, an old family friend from way back, stood there, a hesitant smile on his face. His presence brought a rush of memories, and Jenna's heart shifted again, mixed feelings swirling within her. "Hey, I know this is a random visit," he said, running a hand through his tousled hair. "But I heard about everything. I thought I could help." "Help?" Jenna echoed, the word tasting unfamiliar yet enticing. How? I wanted to let you know that I'm here, and I'm really sorry about what happened with your mom, he said, his gaze sincere. The warmth in his voice pulled Jenna in, tempting her to share her burdens. Thanks, Anthony, Jenna said, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt vulnerable, exposed, like she could unravel if pushed too hard. A sickly sweet scent of nostalgia wrapped around her. Why don't you sit with us? Maggie suggested, leading him into the living room, an unspoken truce forming through their shared concern as they settled back down. Jenna caught Jake's eye, seeing his uncertainty matched her own. This was their chance to unwind the complexities of their past, to explore the heartache they had kept hidden for so long. How did you hear? Jake asked, breaking the heavy silence, his voice firm yet welcoming. Word travels quick in a small town, Anthony replied, looking at them with a hint of empathy. I know you're facing a lot right now. I've been through some tough times myself, and it sometimes helps to talk to someone who knows. The heaviness of the moment shifted slightly. Jenna felt the tightness in her chest ebb a little. Maybe this was the catalyst they needed to break free from the emotional labyrinth they trapped themselves in. Talking to you, Anthony, it feels good. But it's complicated, Jenna admitted, her voice shaking with the weight of her truth. I get that, he said, exuding a gentle warmth. Whatever you're feeling is valid. Just take your time. His kindness nudged open doors Jenna had kept bolted, urging her to speak, to share the weight of a grief that wasn't just her own. But just as Jenna opened her mouth to respond, another knock echoed through the room, sending another ripple of tension through the air. This one felt different. An unanswered question hung heavily within her. Who else dared to join this vulnerable meeting? Her pulse quickened again, caught in two worlds. The one where she found comfort in each connection, and the one laden with the uncertainty brought by each visitor. What if that's more of our past coming back to haunt us? Jake's voice was low, almost an afterthought, but it struck a chord, planting seeds of worry in Jenna's mind. She shared a worried glance with Maggie, who squeezed her hand. They were on the edge of confronting so much, but would the arrival of a new presence make or break them? Should I get it? Anthony asked, looking back towards the door, uncertainty creeping into his voice. Before Jenna could answer, Aiden piped up, his voice bright with innocence. I'll get it. I want to see who it is. In that moment, uncertainty morphed into tension. Aiden swung the door wide open, and Jenna's heart sank as she prepared for whatever came next. What would they encounter waiting on their doorstep? The past? Or perhaps the very answers they had all come searching for? Jenna's heart raced as Aiden flung the door open with childlike excitement. Standing there, silhouetted against the fading light, was Emma, a longtime friend of the family, her face a blank canvas of concern and compassion. The air felt thick with tension as she stepped inside, brushing past Aiden, who tugged on her sleeve in greeting. Jenna, I heard what was happening. I came to see if you needed. Emma's voice faded as she took in the scene. Jenna glanced back at her father, her brother, and Maggie, all their eyes wide and uncertain, as if caught in a frenetic web of unspoken riddles. We were just talking about Mom, Jenna said, barely above a whisper. The truth felt heavy on her tongue, but Emma's presence was a welcomed reminder of how interconnected they all were. Emma nodded, the weight of Jenna's words echoing in the air. It's good to talk. You know that. The room held its breath as Jenna swallowed the knot forming in her throat. It's time we share our stories, she declared, each word carrying the gravity of acceptance. Together, her father cleared his throat, the tremor in his voice betraying a lifetime of uncertainty. I'm ready to share about the past, he admitted, casting a glance toward his sister Melanie standing near his side, her silent support palpable. About the regrets, the mistakes, and how I've tried to change. With these words hanging in the air, Jenna felt a ripple of vulnerability wash over them, all an invitation to dig deep, pull out the roots of hurt, and face them head-on. I remember the last Christmas we spent together, Jenna began hesitantly, recalling the chill of that winter morning. You were all supposed to be there, but you weren't. I didn't understand then. Tears welled up, her voice cracking with emotion. I know, her father said, anguish coloring his features. I thought leaving during tough times would make it easier for you. I see how wrong I was. As they shared stories, the weight of their past began to loosen its grip. Each person spoke their truth, unearthing the fears and failures that had defined them. Jake recalled the loneliness of waiting for a father that never came home. Jenna's heart ached at his words, recognizing more of their shared pain than she ever considered. But amidst the stories, there were threads of hope sewn into the fabric of despair. Maggie spoke about the importance of family bonds, her gentle words wrapping around the room like a warm embrace. Aiden hopped between them, his laughter ringing fresh and pure, a reminder that tomorrow would always bring a new dawn. We spent too long in silence, feeling alone. Emma added softly, looking around the room. This is a chance for us, a family that's worth fighting for. Finally, their father's voice came as a tremor, ridden with emotion. I don't expect your forgiveness right away. I just want a chance to show you I can be better. You deserve that, you all do. Jenna's heart swelled as every tiny piece of her history, every scar, began to stitch itself back together. They were messy stitches, some threads frayed, others vibrant, all imperfectly beautiful. Another silence lingered, but it felt different this time, charged, yet filled with possibility. We can't forget, Jenna spoke, feeling brave. But we can start to face it together, and I want to figure it out. She reached for her father's hand, squeezing it tight, and his eyes glistened with gratitude. Together, they took that leap into the unknown, into a place of healing and reconciliation. Aiden, new energy bubbling up within him, exclaimed, "Can we have a family movie night?" Everyone chuckled, and for the first time in what felt like forever, laughter mixed with the emotional quietude of the space tension lifted. "Yes, buddy," Jenna said, a radiant smile spreading across her face. "That sounds perfect." As they moved to gather snacks, a sense of unity enveloped them, a warmth that bridged old wounds with tender possibilities. They were charting a new path together, undeterred by the past, reveling in the shared presence that anchored them. Through heartfelt stories and laughter, Jenna felt hope drift into her heart like a soft breeze through autumn leaves. Perhaps they would forge a new legacy anchored in love, forgiveness, and strength. "All right then," Jenna said, clapping her hands together with renewed enthusiasm. "Let's make this family night one to remember." As they settled into the living room, surrounded by love and new beginnings, Jenna understood this was only the start of something beautiful. They had faced their past, and now they could leap toward a future filled with endless possibilities. And as the credits rolled on their first film that night, Jenna smiled as she glanced around the room at her newfound family, a family finally free to heal, strengthen, and love each other anew. If you felt the warmth of this journey, if you were inspired by their transformation, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Drop a comment below and share your reactions. How did the story touch your heart? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Each act counts, and only true fans understand how vital it is to support the channel through these actions.